Hello, everyone. How are you? Welcome to this webinar for the Mundus MA program. My name is Karim Knio. I'm an associate professor in international political economy and governance and the academic coordinator of this particular program at ISS. Today, I'm also joined by current students in the program, Anna, Rashid, and Marco. I would like to actually give them the floor to introduce themselves very quickly before I resume with the presentation that we have today. Anna, can we start with you?
My name is Ana Maria. I'm from Colombia, and I'm doing the track in governance and development.
Hi, I'm Rashid. I'm from Canada, and I'm doing the track in political economy and development.
Hi, I'm Marco. I'm 25. I'm from Italy. I am the representative of the Mundus MAPP track here in ISS, and I'm doing the same track of Rashid, so political economy and development.
Okay, thank you all for these quick introductions. So I'm going to take a few minutes to present a bit the program for you, and hopefully this will take us for a round of questions and answers. Okay, so broadly speaking, this is a joint degree, obviously a master's degree in public policy. We are a consortium that comprises the Central European University, now based in Vienna, ISS of Erasmus University in the Netherlands, and these are basically the choices, the mobility, if you want, of the first year. And then for the second year, we also are joined by the Center on International Relations, EBE in Barcelona, and the Department of Politics, University of York in the UK. The master's, of course, is in public policy, but one of the things that are key to us, key in terms of the value of the benchmarking, if you want, for our program, is that our understanding of public policy is broad, and it is designed in this sense. To be more specific about it, it speaks to the non-conventional understanding of public policy, meaning it is not public policy as either just public administration or public management. We do have certain departments that actually focus on these aspects of public policy, but it also encompasses understandings and also interests in literatures dealing with political science, international relations, and international political economy as well. And to that point, actually, this is where also the focus at ISS is more located on, because we are in this particular kind of component of the consortium, we're more interested in debates that are revolving around the political science, international relations, international political economy side of public policy. So in that sense, we in terms of we have 4 tracks, obviously, in the consortium, and given this kind of broad understanding between public administration management on one side and political science on the other side, we have 4 distinctive kind of tracks. I'm going to focus today on the ISS tracks. The track between ISS and EBE is called Political Economy and Development. I do believe it is nicely described to you in the website. You can definitely have a look at it there. And also the track between ISS and York, it's called Governance and Development, same thing. Those particular tracks are well described there. And of course, if you have any questions about them to me and to Anna, Rashid, and Marco, please come forward with them. But these, if you want, logics of tracks are not the only distinctive marks that characterize our program. There is also another kind of an intellectual emphasis, if you want, that is key to our to the construction of our understanding of public policy, in the sense that we distinguish between problem-situating and problem-solving approaches to public policy. And to be more specific and direct about it, what characterizes the ISS tracks, so when you enter the Mundus MAPP program from ISS and then you either go to EBE or York, what characterizes the ISS tracks is basically a focus on problem-situating. Now, you can ask the students, problem-situating is a big thing and it takes a long time. So actually, I'm going to be super quick super quick in telling you what it entails, but okay, let me have a go at it. It basically, well, first of all, thematically, you should already understand that it is more revolving around political science, IPE, literature, and IR. But more than that, perhaps the first thing when we talk about the issues of situating, as opposed to just solving, it goes, if you want, in relation to that problems in themselves, when we define them, can never be general from that particular perspective, or even they cannot never be universalistic in that sense, in the sense that they are defined differently. And if they are defined differently, for some it could be a particular problem, but for others it would not. The same thing then applies to the issues of learning and ideas and proposals and solutions that can be actually put forward in relation to those problems. They cannot be universalistic in that sense. Given those premises, if these cannot be universal in that aspect, we actually try to look into the power understandings that actually revolve around the manner in which particular problems have been defined, and the manner in which they unfold, and obviously the manner in which they are concretely implemented as well. This means that the manner in which, not just how we analyze the thematic and the empirical, but also the manner in which we understand the approaches that make those particular understandings, the manner in which we construct them, the manner in which we apply them, the manner in which we conceive them also matters. Hence, we focused so many times, so in a sense, solutions should not necessarily be seen only as technical tools. So sometimes actually solutions are there available in a technological way, but actually because of particular power concerns, those particular solutions are not necessarily exerted or executed. This in so many ways speak to that logic of the problem situating, because it is not simply just kind of a logic about identifying problems and apply them and implement them. We need to also incorporate all of this in relation to the knowledge constructions that are associated with those implementations and executions at the same time. That, in broad terms, speak a bit to what we refer here to problem situating. Perhaps I would like to also add another layer, in the sense that once we take this problem situating seriously, it allows us then to delve further into how we can explain the contexts that actually where public policy actually happens. How can we understand the conduct of the players who are already operating within a particular context? How can we explain if you want, the nature, the component of these contexts and conducts that I was just talking about? How can we actually analyze the ideas that certain, let's say, policymakers have, and politicians or particular social movements, let's say? What kind of ideas they develop? How do they develop them? How do they construe them? How do they apply them? But also, things are not just revolving around ideas, it's also revolving around interests. How are they constructed? How do they execute them? How do they go about them? How do ideas actually relate to interests? How do interests relate to ideas? How do all of them relate to the context, the conduct, and the meanings and the compositional aspects of these contexts and conducts? These are central questions that we actually do, and these are central, key, it's a hallmark, if you want, in relation to problem situating. So to cut a long story short, the thematic focus is very much on, especially at ISS, the thematic focus is more on literatures revolving around governance and political economy. So in that sense, in a very broad sense, we focus a lot on the complex interaction between markets and states embedded in societies, obviously. Of course, these are like big words that need to be unpacked, and we do that throughout these courses, but this is the thematic and the thematic orientation, if you want, in relation to it. But problem situating also involves bringing in the importance of ontology and a particular aspect also of philosophy related to any analysis on political economy and governance. It is that speaks squarely to what you can expect from the particular tracks at ISS. So this particular juxtaposition, if I have to say, between the importance of ontology together with a political economy focused analysis, especially in relation to governance issues. Now, let me take a step in relation to actually how the program unfolds. I'm going to obviously focus on year one, which is at ISS, just to give you a quick kind of a description of how the program actually starts. When students arrive, especially in relation to the first term, they actually take like 3 particular, relatively speaking, shorter courses, and those kind of courses are a bit located in a particular month in a way. So the first course, so we started actually with a course component where students take a course on economics and the links between economics and development. Usually that takes place in September, just when we start. We move in October into a particular other course that focuses on comparative public policy. So in that course, we focus a bit more on or at least the hope is to focus more on the nitty-gritty details of how certain things are, implemented in public policy and executed too. So it's a bit more like kind of an instrumental course. But then we move into one of the components, key mandatory courses in the program, a course on thinking about governance and institutions. This is a foundational course. The identity of the program is very much cemented in that particular setting. This is more around November, December. Then we move into term 3 into courses about contemporary capitalism and its linkages with neoliberalism. And in term 3, we then, which is more around April, then we move into a particular mandatory course as well that speak to debating liberal internationalism. Those course components, those are all mandatory, of course, courses. They are also juxtaposed with mandatory courses on research techniques. Of course, students can choose the type of techniques that they want to focus on, but basically we're asking them to pick what is worth of 8 credits of research techniques from the kind of availability of courses that are there at ISS. So there are what is worth of 8 credits of research techniques as well. We also, during the first year, students must take at least 1 elective course. They can also take another one. Most students do that as well. So at least 1 elective course, but could be also 2. And we add towards all of this then what we call in the consortium a practical component and a research component. The practical component is actually comprised of 2 things, a study trip and an internship. Let me first start with the study trip. Usually we have a particular kind of a general typology of institutions we'd like to visit. We go into a particular European city. The students choose which city. Actually, for this coming batch, the choice will not be there because we had to postpone the previous trip from last year due to COVID arrangements. So we know for sure that the next destination next year is Athens, Greece. But then students can choose the type of, not the type, but the nature of the institutions and the organizations they would like to actually visit. And the overall assessment is that we look for either a policy brief or an essay 2 weeks after we conclude this particular study trip, where students basically, study some problems that were identified during that particular trip. So this is, I hope, straightforward. Another practical component that we have is an internship. And the internship has to be concluded in the first year. That's why I'm talking about it here. It's basically, it starts, I always try to motivate students to, from the beginning, when they arrive in September, to start the process of searching. Because for sometimes it can be relatively easy. For others, sometimes one can encounter a variety of logistical and practical problems. So it is better to be prepared. But the gist of it is that students are expected to do something what is equivalent of 4 weeks worth of an internship. And basically, as long as it is related to public policy concerns, it is fine with us. So the choice is yours, obviously. And they would just have to write a report summarizing the type of activities that they've done during this internship and how they can potentially relate it to the stuff that we are actually covering in the classroom as well. As I said earlier, the internship has to be completed within the first year of study. So together, the study trip and the internship constitute what we call in the consortium as the practical component, which that should nicely lead me to the third and final part of the description, which is what we call the research component of our program. Now, the research component is also comprised of two elements, the thesis report and the thesis. The thesis report is basically what students need to finalize by the end of the first year. The thesis report and the thesis are, if you want, two different entities, but they're also related. So in the sense that when you submit the thesis report in year one and you move into the second year, you are expected to finish the thesis in the second year, but actually you go to the second year with a luggage. We are a joint degree. It's not a 1+1 program. It's not a double degree. That the 1+1, if you want, mantra is more symptomatic to a double degree. We're a joint degree. So you already put important aspects of the research that you want to do in relation to the overall thesis that you have to submit by the end of the second year. A lot of this preparatory work actually happens in year one, and especially when it comes to the ISS track, especially concerns in relation to the identification of the problem, the situation, obviously, of the problem, the theoretical framework, and the methodology. And then when students move into year two, then they actually start building up on those foundations by linking them to methods, to a wider thematic literature, to the overall analysis, and so on and so forth. What we also do is that because it's a joint degree, every student will have two supervisors, one from the year one and one from year two, and those two will be present throughout the process. So the process here means the 2 years or 1.5 years, because obviously it takes half a year of preparation before we embark into that process. And so in that sense, every student at some point will have a team, one from the year one and one from year two, that will be guiding you in relation to that process. We are supposed to be talking with each other across the years, again, because it's a joint program. And yes, the thesis report basically is a 6,000-word document that should lead you towards later on the thesis that you have to submit by the end of the second year, which is more approximately a kind of a 12,000 word type of paper. Maybe one last thing about the thesis. Towards the end, students are also supposed to defend their thesis via an oral defense ceremony that we do. That usually happens in September of the next year, and that would be actually practically the last step before we congratulate you for finishing the program. So I believe that is a super quick executive summary of the program. I hope I did justice to all to all aspects, but if not, you have, of course, all the opportunity to ask not only me, to ask all of us certain questions. And yeah, I wonder if Anna, Rashid, or Marco would like to add anything to what I said. No? Okay, then if not, thanks, and I'll give the floor to you on your question.
Thank you so much, Karim, for the executive summary of the Mundus MAPP program. We do have some questions. Now, this question is mostly for the students. The prospective student want to know, how is it like to study at the moment online during the pandemic? How do you motivate yourself, and how do you get things done? I'm going to start with Anna first. We will go each one.
Okay, to be honest, of course, it's not the same like in-person classes, but the university, I guess, has like kind of different support activities, and like the professors and all the team are like preparing in order to support in case that you need like extra help. The other thing that is really good about that, because of course it's a new situation for everyone, is like you can speak with the team and the professors, and they always are trying to change the things in order that will be easier for you. So I think that it's good, and of course it's like I think that all are trying to keep this experience and trying to like take notes for the next year. So probably if the next year will be something similar. Of course, there are now a lot of experience and knowledge about how to deal with the situation.
Thank you so much, Anna. Rashid.
So my experience of studying online has been quite interesting. I started while I was in Canada, came here, and still studying online. So I would say be prepared to sit in your room a lot, make it comfortable, make it cozy. There has been, parts where it's definitely been a little frustrating, just being in the same place. But as Anna mentioned, as we voiced concerns, we've seen that the Institute has done many different things to kind of keep motivating us, keep encouraging us, whether it be like meeting with our instructors like outside over like coffee or something. All of that has definitely helped. And yeah, hoping next year it is quite different than this.
Thank you, Rashid. Marco.
Yeah, I hope that you're not going to have the same experience that we had for sure. But because they say how ISS help us and like all the structure and all the professors help us, I think for us was really important the class, the group. We are from 4 continents. We are 8 people. We have all different background, different ages. We speak different languages. I think the only common language is English. But we try to support each other a lot, and we had the possibility to meet in small groups, and we try to share our ideas and what we want to study, what we want to write. And I think it was a great opportunity to grow up. So if you have a different background, don't be worried. It will be fine. Actually, it's super interesting because it will help you to understand the reality in a really different way. You're going to frame the reality in a different way. And all of us are humans, and we have a similar, I don't know, like we hope for doing similar stuff in the future. So I think the class will help you a lot. So don't worry, people will be there for you.
Thank you so much, Marco. Maybe Karim, would you like to clarify a little bit how the classes are going to be in the future? Like whether is it going to be offline or online? We maybe you want to say something a little bit about that. And also students are asking, now there's only 8 students. Will there be more in the coming period?
Okay, these are 2 questions. In relation to the first one, obviously there's a lot of things that we still don't know, but I can tell you one thing for sure is that ISS is committed to resume, or that it's committed towards between quote unquote a normal year next year. So starting September, we hope and we're expecting that we will go back to physical live sessions and in classrooms, so on and so forth. But of course, please, you cannot hold us responsible for this because it is beyond us. It depends very much on what is happening with COVID, with the vaccination processes, with everything in the globe. So yeah, the only thing I can say, the commitment, the aspiration is for to resume normality pre-COVID, normality between brackets. Whether this will be, we cannot guarantee that, but that's definitely the aim. I cannot say more than that at this stage simply because we do not know. In relation to the second question, it was more about the
number of students. Yearly.
The next batch will definitely be larger in size. I cannot tell you for now the number, but it will. I think it's a thing. So it's. But I think I'm going to expect something like between 15 to 20 students at ISS, which is obviously there will be also students going to CEU as well. So I'm just talking now about ISS. So I'm pretty sure that the number of students would be more next year. Maybe just an important information for you. Usually our average is 15. That's the number that we're happy with it. So average is 15. I think we might get 20 in this coming year, but yeah, this is just a I don't know. It's just a hunch, but that's the usual number that we go with. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Karim. This is a question for the students. The prospective student want to know what track did you choose particularly, and why? Can I maybe start with Anna?
Yeah. So I choose the track in governance and development. That is the first year here in ISS and the second year in York. And I choose this one because, one, from my experience, from my background, I have been working with the local development from my the local government from my city, and of course I want to continue doing this after my degree. So for that reason, I choose this track.
Thank you so much, Anna. Rashid?
I'm in the International Political Economy and Development track, so the ISS EBAI track. And I chose that. It seemed pretty natural for me. I have a degree in international studies focusing on development. So it seemed like the next step for me. And I particularly chose the track because, as Karim was mentioning before, with the whole problem situating, it takes a very critical look at public policy, which is what I wanted to be doing as well.
Thank you, Rashid. Marco?
I'm the same track of Rashid, so ISS eBay. I have a bachelor degree in economics. I did a business school. So at a certain point, to solve the problems was not enough for me. And I want to understand where these problems are from, and like what is market for real, not just identity that they give you as pre-given. So I was really interested in political economy and to understand more and to see the world in a different way. And I think we are starting to work on that and starting to see the reality. The understand of my reality was only one way to understand the reality in general. So this was really interesting for me, and for this reason I decided to do ISS eBay track.
Thank you so much, Marco. This is a question for either the student or Karim, but maybe I start with the student first. It's the same question. Prospective student wants to know how the teaching method is in a classroom, and how is the, not in a classroom anymore, but online, is it like all assignments, or is that you have to take home exams? Like, can you explain a little bit more how that works? We start with the students, so maybe I start with Marco.
Yeah,
Seems the collaboration.
Yeah, no problem. So of course we have different courses, so it's really variegated the way how we are examinated. There are some assignments that can be weekly. You can have 24 hours exam, or you can just write a paper that can be around 2,500 words to 5,000 words. So it depends on the class. Most of the time we write papers about topic that we are really interested in it, and then we apply the theories and we apply the framework that we learn during the classes.
Thank you, Marco. Rashid?
I think Marco said it all.
Yeah?
It is a mix between different classes, and I think the way they've been conducted is different as well. Some are intensive lectures, while others can be more of the seminar style where you have to do the reading and you come in, and there is general discussions around the readings or the topics that's covered.
Thank you, Rashid. Anna, do you want to add anything? No? Karim, would you like to add?
Just to add one thing, I mean, obviously, as you can see from the replies, I think first of all, it depends very much on, there are different type of courses. There are also different styles, right? But also in addition to styles, there are also different contents, right? So also the content of whatever you study necessitates that you organize the pedagogy of the education in different ways. So that's why it's as much of a variety as you can expect. I can only talk about mine. I do teach two very foundational courses in the track, and there, of course, I focus a lot more on lectures. In real life, they would be participatory lectures. This year we had to maybe do a bit more Q&As because by the nature of online teaching. But for example, for the types of foundational courses that I teach, the lectures are necessary because also I introduce the students to important debates and we need to go in depth about them. But that's just, this is coming from, the angle that I occupy within this big program. But as I was trying to say, there are different needs, there are different types of courses, there are also different types of styles, and there are different types of contents that require different interventions as well. I think that's the general rule, and there's also like a specific characteristic that I just explained as well. I hope that was clear.
Yeah, thank you, Karim. The background of the students, what kind of background do you particularly look for this program when selecting students?
We have an admission criteria, which it's known for all of you. We, of course, we're in Mundus MAPP. I mean, from the name Mundus MAPP, we definitely pick students from different continents. We keep an eye on also, gender balance, regional balance. There are lots of things that we keep an eye on. We keep an eye on, like, also like, we like to attract some students who just finished, let's say, from their undergrad, but some as well who have significant work experience. So there are, I don't know, there are like a multitude of variables that we look at, but now I would like to take this opportunity to say, for the ISS tracks, the inclinations towards problem situating and inclinations towards amenability and willingness to deal with critical thinking is definitely an important aspect. I joke with the group, but actually it's not a joke. I say it in the first meeting that I always meet students, when I first meet students, we're not that in the ISS tracks I'm talking about, right? We're not necessarily interested in Bob the Builder. I don't know if you know Bob the Builder who wants to just solve issues. Of course, we do care about solving issues if we can, and the conditions under which it can be undertaken. But the aptitude and amenability in relation to critical thinking is a very important asset that we look for, especially in relation to the ISS tracks.
Thank you so much, Karim. Okay, so a student want to know, can they study the Mundus MAPP program and work part-time at the same time to earn some money? Because of the uncertainty of scholarships, the student want to know if this is something that you will advise against or for.
Okay, on paper, yes, but they should also realize that they have to organize their time. They are responsible for their studies. So it would be a bit sometimes problematic if, I mean, I'm talking here hypothetically, right? But like if someone was like basically presenting particular problems because particular problems that are there at work and using it as an excuse for, let's say, delays, let's say, in their education, that will not go. So they have to be responsible in relation to it. But on paper, yes, of course. So this is the general spiel that I would like to say. Fortunately, Rashid is a good example here. So I would like to go from the general spiel that I just highlighted to more of a specific one. Rashid?
Yeah. So I've been this past term, I've been working part-time, so about 16 hours a week, and also taking on a full course load. It definitely is heavy, and I would say if you're an organized person, do it. If you're not, don't do it, because it can get really chaotic, especially starting from the middle to the end of the term. And I would also advise, like, if you are looking for part-time work, to look for something pretty flexible. So I was like privileged in having work where my team worked around me. So that was great to have, and I could set my hours. But that's not the case for everyone. So yeah, just to keep that in mind, that yes, it is possible. you may not be doing much else except for studying and work, but if you're prepared for it, go ahead.
Thank you, Rashid.
Can I add one thing?
course.
Unless maybe just to add also to what Rashid was saying, also do not forget that I also think when you compare the load at ISS compared to many schools in the world, it is not necessarily that much like a high level of like interaction per classes, like the number of the frequency of the classes. I mean, but to highlight some of the problems as you were talking about, or the challenges, is that you need a lot of time to read and go through lectures and all of that. And I think this is where a realistic assessment of the time that you need for this need to be seriously taken into account if you are willing to also work part-time. I think that might be also based on the good advice, right?
Yeah.
If I can add something,
Sure,
like
of
we
course.
have probably around an average 6 classes per week or 8 classes per week, no more than that. But of course, then you need to multiply the time that you use in class to read for 2 or 3. Depends of how fast are you reading and how you go on too deep on the topics. And the readings are, of course, are not undergraduate level, are graduate or postgraduate level. So they're really, they take time. They're tough. It's not easy, especially in the beginning, but don't worry then. It's really satisfying to when you finish, when you read some important articles. Yeah.
Thank you, Marco. I'm going to put the webcam towards Marco because you're the student representative of the Mundus MAPP program. So what kind of, well, it's difficult now, but what kind of extracurricular activities do you do outside to get your mind off being facing the screen all the time?
Okay, so
you
in
and
our
also,
case,
yeah,
in our case, it was like we have the work and talk. That was an activity that we did with professor or other academic individuals. So we just going around the city, spending 2 hours and have a conversation about class topic, about other elements, about what we want to do in the future. So we have the possibility to meet with people. Sometimes we will meet with the people around your neighbors. So, for example, in Doris and Bazarland, because most of the students live there. We have other meetings. There are other activities. There are other workshops related, for example, to training or managing your time. So there are other side activities that can help you to do something that is not related to the school, to the course.
Thank you, Marco. Anything you guys want to add on top of Marco?
No, just yeah. I guess like I think like right now since I've been here, things have been just given the restrictions, everything has been closed, so there hasn't been a lot of opportunities to do anything beyond just going outside for a walk. But the city is like beautiful, and like there's so many places that you can do that and grab very good cups of coffee.
I wanted to highlight just the things related with the question, but at the same time with the accommodation topic, because for our experience, I think that is a really good option, the dorms, the uni dorms now, because as Marco say, mostly all the students are in this place. So of course we have to keep some certain rules, but even though you have like your like the people who share the floor and they share the kitchen. So for example, now our kitchens, of course, with no more than 4 people, we share some food or something like that. And the other good point about it is like it's near to the city center. So as Rashid say, it's good just go for a walk. And of course, it's near to other parks, so you can use these parks, for example, for doing exercise or something like that. So I think the location and the thing that you are with other classmates in the same place, it's really good.
Anna, can you explain a little bit about the student housing? I know you just explained it's near, but is it like how difficult is it for you to get a house here? I mean, was it an easy process? Because there is a question from 3 students now about housing situation.
Okay. Yeah, when I was looking for accommodation, of course, I was like looking different options. But at the end, I choose the uni dorms because for one reason, but it's easier. You know, you don't have to do like a lot of paperwork or try to look for yourself. It's very easy with the housing office here in ISS. The other thing is that you heard about some scams. So, you know, if you want to save your money and, you know, be sure about that, I think it's good also go for the uni dorms option.
Yeah. Just for everyone's information, the uni offers accommodation and the price is about 550 to 700 euros. So you get you get your own bathroom and toilet, and then you share your kitchen together with 6 individuals.
Depends.
Okay, depends. Okay.
The maximum is 6 people.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. And also the dormitory is 30 seconds walk to ISS, so you can never be late for class. Yeah.
You don't have the skills. You don't have the skills.
About the social activities, I just want to say one thing, which is going to be unique for next year, is because usually in the study trip, it would be the first time where the batch that is at ISS and the batch that in the past used to be in Budapest, now in Vienna, they actually meet for the first time together in the study trip, and they go through the study trip together as a cohort, because that's the cohort, right? The Mundus MAPP cohort divided across the consortium. What is unique, what's going to be unique, and it's for one time only, obviously, for next year in Athens, is that we're going to do it with 2 batches. So I guess that's also going to be interesting. It's going to be, I guess, also a large number. But apart from I hope for a fruitful study trip, I'm pretty sure it's going to be fun too. So I think it's also worth mentioning it, given that, you know, it's also going to be not just the first time where the 2 sides of the same cohort meet, but also a nice opportunity to speak to the cohort that was also before you. I just wanted to highlight.
Thank you, Karim. We have one last question about career options after graduation. Where do you see students going roughly after they graduated from Mundus MAPP?
A variety of tracks. Some go back in relation to, let's say, governmental positions, others like NGOs, in the NGO world. Also, we have a strong track in relation to PhDs as well, especially with the ISS track. So I think it's quite, there is a variety. And yeah, so like I said, some of it is academic, some of it is practical. I can also say even those who go with the practical, because we keep in touch with our alumni, the Mundus MAPP alumni, and so we also see like how they go back to the you know, the work conditions and the work environment. We've noticed a lot how lots of employers were quite impressed with the type of training, the way actually our graduates conceive particular problems and how they go on to implement them. We've got a variety of positive responses in relation to it. But yeah, if I have to generalize, really, it's a variety of routes. It depends very much on the interest of the person in question. But yes, we cater for all of these particular routes that I just highlighted.
Thank you, Karim. Well, another question.
Or perhaps I should also add one more route, international organizations as well. So UN, World Bank, EU,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, so
a wide range.
Yes.
Private consultancy firms
Yeah.
like Deloitte.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Karim. We received one more question. Seems you have some time. Now, so depending on the circumstances in countries, is it okay if students come a little bit later because of the circumstances of the pandemic? For example, if students are expected to start in September, if they come in October or November, how much leeway is there for the Mundus MAPP program?
It's a difficult question. I technically would say I wouldn't know, but I would advise against it, because especially in term 1, well, first of all, because we're aiming, I mean, of course, we have to see, but we're aiming for a normal year. But I would also say, especially in relation to term 1, where practically every month speaks to a particular course, I think it might be better for the student to be in here. Of course, I understand the complexity of the issue, but I think that would be my initial response. But yes, to be honest with you, I'm struggling to answer this question because there are so many variables that go beyond this as well. But I would prefer not. I would prefer that that do not delay coming here. But yes, I understand that there are other realities as well. I hope this is an incomplete answer, but it has to be.
Yeah. There's a lot of question about scholarships information, the EMJMB scholarship, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that the students should ask CEU for answers, or?
CEU, as the coordinator of the consortium, will reveal the names of those who were able to receive those particular scholarships. The central administration will contact students in relation to that.
Okay.
They will be giving admissions letter on behalf of all of us.
Thank you very much. Well, there's no other questions. It's empty now, but is there any last advice from the students to prospective students who are planning to come to ISS to study the Mundus MAPP program? Is there any preparation that you think they should take mentally, physically?
I think mentally this should be really open mind, especially for people that have a background in economics. Most of the times you are kind of strictly and you perceive the reality in a certain way, and then here you are they are going to open your mind. It's like an epiphany. It's a door that opens to the reality. So yeah, be really open mind and try to take all the possibility, all the new stuff, and be curious. I think this is the most important thing.
Anything you want to add, Rashid or Anna? Either one of you. Rashid first, okay.
Yeah, I guess just build a little bit of flexibility into your expectations of what's going to happen here and how things are going to go. I think that it'll be better in terms of like managing expectations. And like most of it has been very positive for myself. But there are inevitably some moments where I was like, not so great. So I think like if you approach the approach your masters with a bit more flexibility, that's definitely going to help.
Anything to Rashid, Anna?
No, it's almost the same that Rashid and Marco say. It's just be flexible as well, because you never know with this current situation. So, but even though, don't discourage yourself, because even with this situation, it's a really good experience. I think that if you are ready, go for it.
Thank you. Karim, you want to add anything to say? Any last advice?
I think you've said it all. Perhaps I would like to finish with that word that you mentioned, Marco. Curious is good. If you're interested in learning new things, going deep in relation to certain things, and being curious and open-minded, this is definitely a track for you. That's how I'd like to finish with these words.
Okay, well, thank you, Karim, Anna, Rashid, and Marco for taking your time to explain to prospective students about the Mundus MAPP program. And thank you all, the prospective students who are watching this, for joining us today. With that, we will conclude the webinar session. I will send all of you a recording link so you can view this recording again together with the PowerPoint slides as well. Thank you and have a nice day, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.